Okay, so this is the support video for your self and peer assessment task that you're currently working on. Instructions to students, again, please write your SACE number and your name. People still don't like doing that, so if you could put that on, that'd be great. Students are to self-assess against the badminton skills in the table. We'll have a little bit of a closer look at that in a second. Make sure you highlight what level you think you're at, write a comment on your learning. Make sure that you include your 2 peer assessments that you receive from people in that particular lesson, because you're going to need to staple that to the assignment sheet, and answer all of the guiding questions. They're there to help you. We are addressing 2 performance standards, AU3 and IAE3. What does that tell us? That tells us that we're looking for a little bit of quantity with your response, but again, the focus is still on quality of answer and not just sheer volume of writing for 2 performance standards. For personal and social capability address, so we've got 2 dot points here: reflecting on your own learning and personal development, okay, and valuing and respecting a range of perspectives. So anything, most of the work that we're doing is going to be reflecting on your own learning and how you develop through that particular learning. And the second one is valuing and respecting a range of perspectives. So in this instance, the perspectives are your peers, those 2 people that actually gave you that assessment on your badminton skills. Hence why it's really important that you include hard copies of what you received. Okay, so here is your self-assessment. This is exactly what you did on the other students in the class. In this left-hand column, you have got the skills, okay, with some dot points. So some of the specific ones, for example, with your serving here, can you hit short and low over the net with controlled variation in direction? So essentially you're short serving. You would then highlight a box, whichever one you think what level you're at, and then I need a comment in each of these boxes. So if you remember during the lesson, I asked you to do 3 only for your peers, but for your self-assessment, you must fill each box. And the easiest way to do it, guys, is to go back over here and choose one of these bullet points and elaborate on them. So you might write here for the first one, look, my long serves were quite effective. They had good depth and good height. However, I couldn't, my short serves were not that effective. I kept hitting them too high, which was allowing my opponent to come in and play a net kill and win the point. So you would give a little bit of depth to that one point you're going to make about the skill from this column. Okay, you do that for each box. All right. Again, I don't want 200 words crammed into this box. Just one quality point about a skill from this side. Okay, once you've done that, and once you've received your 2 peer assessments that you should have got in the actual lesson, and I've written here, please staple them. All right, I've got 4 guiding questions that I want you to answer. Number 1, and I've put the keywords in red. What have you learnt most about your own skills and capabilities? So what have you learnt? So how many examples do we give? A couple. Give me a couple of examples of the things you've learned about your skills or your capability in badminton. All right. Number 2, discuss at least one piece of feedback from each of your peers. Did you value this? So let's say John and Katie has done a peer assessment on you. I want you to tell me one thing that John has said about your badminton skills, one thing that Katie has said about your badminton skills, and then I want you to tell me whether you valued this feedback. Was it given in a positive, constructive way? Was it a criticism? Was it very wishy-washy? Was it just like, you're good at serves? So I want you to tell me whether you valued this and thought it was helpful to you, because not all feedback is helpful if it's not delivered in the right way. Number 3, from this task, what have you identified as the main area or skill that future learning would focus on? So again, 1 or 2 things. If you were to now do another 3, 4, 5 weeks of badminton, what would you want to focus on your future learning to improve in the sport of badminton? Which are your areas that you need to improve on? So I'd like you to tell me those. So we refer to that as future learning. And the 4th point is, how can a self and peer assessment, how can the process actually help with your own personal development in any area of your life. Now, what we're moving away from sport here, but you can stay within sport and move away at the same time. So maybe, you know, within any sport, we acknowledge that feedback is really important. It allows us to identify areas that we need to improve on, etc., etc. And sport and everyday life, there's obviously a bit of a crossover because, you know, for example, you might work in a team in the workplace. So again, we know that feedback is part of every job. It's part of performance development. So how can this process that we've been through, how could that be applied, and how could that benefit you in other areas of your life? And one thing that I said in the lesson is that no one likes to receive negative feedback. As humans, we don't like it. So actually being exposed to situations where we are given honest, open, constructive feedback that may challenge our, you know, how we think about our own skills and capabilities is a really worthwhile process because it prepares us for the world of work and situations later on in life. So tell me a little bit about that from your perspective, and make it personal if you can, you know, especially if you do have a part-time job now where you're experiencing this type of process. We just did it for badminton, but I'd like you to think a bit wider for that point number 4. Okay? Please ask me if you've got any more questions. Thank you.